Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Thursday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. This is going to be the second time around for this episode. I recorded it yesterday earlier, and when I went to edit, I listened to all the sound files, and they all had a low frequency buzzing sound coming from the microphone. So I tried to edit the files and do some sound manipulation in Adobe Audition, but yeah, it just didn't work. So we're doing it again. We'll do it live. And hopefully this works, because I'll tell you right now, the last episode, the one I just recorded, that the audio was trashed, it's like the best episode I ever recorded. So, oh well. It's easy to say that since no one will ever listen to it. So anyway, we're going to be talking about WoW Classic today, and a little bit about the state of Classic and some of the communication coming from Blizzard about the future of Classic. Spoiler alert, there is none. And kind of where things are with everything around the WoW Classic sphere. We're also going to be talking about Legion Remix. We've got a little bit of Modern WoW, some Midnight Alpha stuff. We are going to hold on all of the Midnight Alpha stuff that was released today, Thursday, the 23rd, because there was a bunch that came out today for Phase 4 of the Alpha. We're going to skip all that. We'll do that next week, because I don't want to overload this episode, because this episode I already recorded, so I don't want to mess myself up with a bunch of additional information. I'll just stick with the plan. So anyway, and yeah, that'll be the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, I guess. I hate re-recording episodes. Just as a quick podcast side note, I hate re-recording episodes because I don't have a script. I hardly ever write things down unless I'm reading something that somebody else wrote down, like a quote or something like that, or a tweet. And so for me, having to re-record an episode is really hard because I don't remember what I said the first time. And sometimes I'll reference something that I said the first recording, but I didn't say the second recording. It just gets really confusing. So it's better off to just not do it. There was actually an episode of the Potty C where Dratnos forgot to start recording. And rather than re-record that segment, which was about 30 minutes worth, he just recapped it. Because it's hard to go back and it doesn't work. And then you're forcing things that you said the first time. When I've done this in the past, I've re-recorded it immediately, and I wasn't happy with the outcome. This time I gave it a day, let things kind of settle. Hopefully it works out. So we'll see. If this is a terrible episode, I apologize in advance. Anyway, before I get to the news, I'll talk about what I got up to last week in World of Warcraft. It was pretty much 90% Legion Remix. The rest of it I spent on the PTR. But yeah, I have two Battle.net accounts, which means that for things like Remix, I have to do it twice because I need the transmogs on one account and then I need the transmogs on the other account. Warbands don't really help across Battle.net accounts. That doesn't work that way. I've tried to merge them and Blizzard's just like, no. So, and that's a whole different story that, I don't remember if I've told that story before on the podcast. Anyway, so yeah, Legion Remix. So I've got the Blood Death Knight, who's at around 630 and about 20-something% versatility. And I got an Arms Warrior that I got to 80, who is about 608 and 3% versatility. It's like I got to build them up around the same time. Because if you go too far in one direction and then you got to stop and reset, it feels bad to... So I've done all my... zone achievements except for Suramar, which that's going to take a while. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, it's fun going and doing stuff on one character, and then you go on a different character and you start trying to do, like, I keep trying to put down Death and Decay on my warrior. And then when I play my Death Knight, I keep trying to Heroic Leap, which is the same button as Anti-Magic Shell. So I keep running around about to jump and I hit Anti-Magic Shell. So it is a little confusing, but for the most part, it's fun. So I'm having a blast. Legion Remix is great. I like this so much better than Mists of Pandaria. Mists of Pandaria was good, and it, like I said last week, it feels like the Wild Wild West version of Remix. And this one, Legion, feels polished. It feels structured. Everything has a purpose. Yeah, there are some things that don't quite work right off the bat, but for the most part, it's great. I love it. I'm having a great time. And yeah, so a couple of things that I've done that I wanted to talk about. First of all, I got into a couple of Mythic Heroic normal runs. So what you do is you go in on Mythic and you clear it as fast as you can. Then everyone zones out. You reset to Heroic. You do it again. Then everyone zones out. You reset to normal. You do it again. And it's a great way to get a lot of fragments, which is really what you're trying to do once you get to max level. Get your gear up, get your fragments. So yeah, that was a lot of fun actually doing that. It is a little stressful because you're going in and it's very high speed. There's always somebody who's running ahead. One of the groups we got into, though, it was crazy because we had several people who were 740 or high, or high item level, close to 740. One of the people had like 300 and something versatility, which is crazy. But so we're running through there as fast as the Emerald Nightmare, going as fast as we can. But then we would get to the boss and everyone would wait. And I was like, what is this alternate dimension that I'm in now where people are waiting? It was weird. We even summoned somebody to the boss at one point because they were way far back. I guess they had died and run back. So yeah, that first stretch after you kill the first boss and you have to go up the winding ramp thing into the cave, deeper into the nightmare. It's easy to die there if the healers aren't babysitting everyone, which they can't because they got to keep up with a group that's spread really thin. So yeah, sometimes people just release and now you got to run back through it and you don't get there right away. But yeah, we waited and we summoned people to the bosses, which was really cool. So that was fun, but I didn't do that a lot because, I'm of the opinion that I'm here to have fun. I'm here to get some transmog. I'm here to chill. I'm not here to try and solo 30 plus 35 keystones. I'm not here to try and solo Mythic Raid. I mean, it'd be cool, but I don't have the energy to put that time into a game like Remix. So I'm just chilling, relaxing. I've got a couple of alts that I've started that I haven't really done anything with, and probably what I'll do is when I get these characters up to a good level, then I'll start playing some alts. Remix is a great way to level up alts if you don't have a bunch of alts, and you're like, well, I really want to start a assassination rogue for midnight or a new paladin. This is a great way to do it. Get them in Remix, level them up, especially if you've already leveled up a character. Now you get all the bonus XP and it goes really fast. So I would highly recommend that if that's something that you are interested in. What else did I do? Oh, so I've been looking at, I was doing Heroic World Tier on my Death Knight, and I was like, yeah, this is fine. I didn't feel like the rewards were that much better than normal. It just felt like, and it wasn't hard. It was just a slog. Killing the mobs took forever. Everything had just so much health. So I switched it off. And you know what? I've been happier since. And yeah, you are going to get more fragments if you have Heroic World Tier enabled, especially after the last reset. They've increased the amount of fragments that you get. But still, I'm really, like I said, I'm here for a good time. I'm trying to chill. So, if that means that I'm going to get fragments slower than everyone else, okay, so be it. I'll get into these groups and these people will be running through it and they can carry me. That's fine. And then the world bosses, of course. I don't know if you guys have done the world bosses. If you've been playing Legion Remix and you've done the world boss, you know that it's frustrating because you get in there and so first of all, if the Broken Shore world boss comes up, you can't get to it. That's just a problem right now. But second of all, it doesn't allow you to complete the quest, which is what gives you the fragments. If you leave and then come back, it thinks you just killed the world boss again, and then it gives you the smaller sized cache of things that don't contain the fragments. And this is the same problem that we have in The War Within and Dragonflight, and every current WoW iteration that I can remember has had this problem where you don't get credit for the world quest every time. I don't know why it is. It's just a bug that Blizzard has not been able to solve. So, yeah, unfortunately, you're not getting credit for the world boss every time, and that does suck. But at least it resets every day, so that's cool. So you get another chance tomorrow. So the one thing that I did that I found really interesting was, and it was a little frustrating once I finished it, and it didn't give me what I wanted. But so in real Legion, like in regular Legion, if I log on to one of my normal characters and I go to my class order hall, there's a forge there that you can click on, and it will show you your artifact appearances, what you need to do to earn them, complete this quest, whatever. So it's a really good way to see what all of your different appearances are. Oh, that's where that appearance comes from. That's what the hidden appearances are, etc. Like for the warrior, all of the appearances are kind of meh. They're all just big sword, which I mean is cool, but I don't know. So I wanted to look at the different appearances and go, okay, well, which ones should I try and get? And the forge wasn't there. So I thought, oh, I've got to do some of the quest line in order to open up the forge. So I went over and talked to Odin, and he gave me the quest. And so I started doing the quest line, ran through the whole thing. It took me a minute, but I got it all done. You have to rescue Hodir and a bunch of stuff. And the last phase of the quest, part of the quest line is Odin says, okay, go meet me by the forge. And I'm like, cool, here we go. We're going to get the forge. So I went over there. I talked to Odin. He's like, all right, we're done. Move on. And there was no forge. And I was like, what's going on? What the actual fuck is happening here? Turns out, at least as far as I could tell, there is no forge in Remix. The forge does not show up. Because there's artifact appearances now. You could just look at your appearance tab and pick whichever one you want, which you couldn't do back in Legion because you couldn't transmog your artifacts. So I was like, well, what do I do? How do I want this because I know this. I mean, I guess I could go look it up on Wowhead, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to see it in game because I like that interface. It's really cool. Somebody created a mod, and I'll see if I can find it, and I'll just put it in the show notes, the name of the mod, but it actually attaches a tab to your artifact weapon. So when you shift right click your artifact weapon and it shows you whatever abilities you've purchased, this just adds a new tab on there that gives you that artifact appearance from the forge. And so I got what I wanted, which was I wanted to be able to see them, when the weapon is slowly turning around. Yeah, that's all I wanted. I'm simple. I just, so somebody did the work there. Thank you. I'll find the add-on and I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, that made me happy because it was like, yes, I did all that extra work, but I was able to finish the research, which was complete a chapter of your class order hall. So I did that at least. And yeah, so I ended up getting what I wanted, but it was frustrating because at first I was like, wait a minute, I did all the work and you're still not giving me the forge. This is bullshit. So anyway, that's how that went. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing in Legion Remix. Let's talk about housing. So I went into the PTR this weekend and I did the player housing stress test. So it started on Thursday. So it was supposed to start on Tuesday, I believe, or Monday, and they delayed it due to a bug where apparently you could. So if you're looking at the outside of your house, there's an option that you could move your house around. You could turn it, you could rotate it, you can move it around your plot and just say, I want it over here by the shrubbery, or I want it over here by where the path is. You can move it. So apparently, if you were standing close enough to your neighbor's house, but on your plot, you could grab their house and drag it onto your plot. That seems like a pretty big flaw in the system. So they delayed it because of that. I guess it's something they found on the alpha. And so they had to change that. And from what I could tell, they basically just disabled housing or house moving on the PTR. So it was just not possible to move houses at all. You could turn them, rotate them, but you couldn't relocate them. So it's fine. I was happy to play around with housing. So here's my take on player housing. Having gone onto the PTR, since I don't have alpha access, I can't see it on the alpha Blizzard. I just still don't have alpha access. But so I was able to get on the PTR, play around with it. Here are my first impressions really quickly. First of all, the interface is terrible because it requires you to have your character do the things that you want to do. Your character is the one picking up an item and dropping it somewhere else and turning it and rotating and doing all these things. You have to move your character around the house in order to do these things. It's not like if you've ever played The Sims, where it's essentially God mode. You can just click on a wall and I want this wallpaper and I want this carpet, whatever. It doesn't work that way in player housing in WoW. So that was a little frustrating, but the interface itself is simple enough. So you get 5 buttons in the interface, 5 options that you could choose from, things that you can do. The first one is you can place a decoration. That's pretty simple. This is like the default. You move it around. There's a grid that's a custom grid that you can snap to. So you can move things and put them into specific locations. You can rotate it by turning your mouse wheel. And that's it. Really simple, really easy system to place your furniture or whatever you want. Then there's the advanced option, which is you can turn it, you can shrink it, you can rotate it, you can move it around. You can do it pretty much anything you want. You can raise it up off the ground. You can have your bed floating when you walk in the room. Anything you want to do, the advanced option will let you do it. The third option is the customize option. Now this one's a little weird. So the way it works is if you want to change your walls or your architecture or your wallpaper or anything like that, you click on a wall and then a little interface will pop up and you can choose what you want. So I wanted everything to be Night Elf themed, so I chose all the Belemeth wall types. And then once you do that, you could do that for every wall, which is what I was doing at first. And then I realized you can click another button that will do the entire room in the same style. So if you say, I want Night Elf for this room, the whole room now becomes Night Elf. And then if you want the next room to be human Stormwind themed, that's the default theme. So, and then you can change the wallpaper. You can have a darker walls, stone walls, wood walls, whatever you want, stucco walls. So that was really cool. I like that. It was a little weird the way it set up at first. And then one of the things that I found interesting, and maybe this is something that'll be in the game when it launches with patch 11.2.7, there was no interface or there was no tutorial that showed, hey, here's how this works. There was no ruling that was like, oh, here's the method for housing. None of that. So I just had to figure it out, which was fine. I was able to figure it out, but some of the stuff was not super intuitive. So that was a little frustrating. So hopefully there will be a little bit more of a tutorial, a guide for people. Here's how this works. Here's what you press. Here's the buttons that you do. The fourth option is the erase tool. So that one, you click that, and then whatever you click on in your house, it will just make it go away. And then the final thing is the floor plan. So it takes you up to a top-down view, and you can place rooms wherever you want. There's different room types and sizes: big square room, small square room, closet, octagonal room, small octagonal room, stairs going up. You can have a room that is 2 stories, but then the second story is not occupied. So like if you've got stairs and then you're looking out and then you've got like a high ceiling in the next room, it's kind of like that theme. So you can get really detailed with it. There's not a lot of options, but you can get pretty creative with what you do have. There's like a hallway and different things. There's only 9 rooms though. And the entryway, which you cannot change, counts as a room. So you can actually only place 8 rooms in your house. Because I was thinking 9, okay, that's fine. I'll just make a grid of 9 square rooms. No, you couldn't do that. And things don't always line up right. So if you have a small room next to a big room, they're not going to connect. So you'll just have 2 dead end rooms basically, which is sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want the rooms to connect. It just depends. And then you can actually place walls within the rooms. So if your walls count as a decoration and not as an actual wall, it's just, you can't walk through it. You can't clip through it, but it does count towards your decoration limit. So if you want to build extra rooms within a room, you can do that, but it's going to cost you decoration points. So, and I think on the PTR, we only had 300 items that we could place. Now, here's the other thing that was really interesting. Different items have a different cost. So some items cost 1 decoration. Some items cost 5 decorations. So if you want to put down a sofa, that might cost you 5 decoration points. So if you put 10 sofas around your house, that's 50 points right there. So it does add up fast. And people were talking about, oh, you could make like a spice cabinet with taking a bunch of barrels and shrinking them down. Yeah, but each one of those counts against your limit. So if you really want a spice cabinet, you could do it, but I don't know. Anyway, it was cool. The housing was cool. I hope that Blizzard got the testing that they needed from that to show how housing was going to behave when a lot of people logged onto it, because that was really the point of that. Yes, it allowed us to play around with housing, but it was really just to show Blizzard the stress that all of those players logging into housing at the same time would do to the servers. And I feel like it was pretty successful. Everything was stable when I was logging on. So especially this weekend, I think they had pretty much figured out all the issues. So it was good. I really liked it. I was happy with how everything turned out. So anyway, that was player housing. It will be available on December 2nd when patch 11.2.7 releases, if you have pre-ordered Midnight. So if you really want to play around with player housing when it launches, you need to pre-order Midnight. And you can just order the regular version, which is $50. You don't have to order the $90 version that comes with the early access and the 30-day game time. You don't have to do all that. You could just do the regular $50 Midnight, and then you'll get player housing. So, that's cool. All right, moving on. Last thing I'll talk about now before we get to the news is Apple Podcasts, when somebody submits a review, I didn't know this about it. Apple Podcasts, by the way, when you submit a review to Apple Podcasts, it's region specific. So my region automatically shows up as United States because that's where I live. So, I saw that I got a new review, but I couldn't find it. And so I checked, and sure enough, it came to us from the lovely United Kingdom. Yeah. So, this one, it comes to us from Dizo M1. This was a couple weeks ago that they submitted this. So I apologize for not getting this right away. I just didn't see it. But thank you for submitting it. It's a 5-star review. It says, very informative. Great podcast. Thank you. You help people like me who go from one version of WoW to another with your expertise. Well, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. I try to help people. I try to be informative. I don't know about expertise, but I do have a lot of knowledge about the game, and I try to impart that where I can. So thank you so much for your review. Remember, if you want your review read on the air, go ahead and submit it on Apple Podcasts. I'll try to find the different regions and not lose them in the ether for a while. But Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We do have a Spotify comment. I'll read that one next week. It's just we'll spread that out a little bit. So and there you go. That's what's going on this week. All right, let's get into the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so let's start off with, in Modern WoW, we have the MDI is going to start on October 24th. That's tomorrow as I'm recording this, but you should check it out. It's going to be happening this weekend. Group A will be this weekend. Group B will be next weekend. Then Group C, and then the global finals will be November 21st to the 23rd. The broadcasts are going to start at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So I think that's 7 p.m. Central European time. And it'll be on twitch.tv/Warcraft or youtube.com/Warcraft. So if you want to check out the MDI, if you've never watched it before, MDI is Mythic Dungeon International. It's a competition between different Mythic Plus teams to see who can be the best. And there's 6 teams per group weekend. So they're all going to be competing against each other. I believe that this is going to have the same rule that it did last time, which is you can only do certain spec comps once. So you can't just pick the God comp and do that every single time. So you have to strategize how you're going to do it. Are you going to do the God comp at the beginning? Or are you going to do it later? And, it really just depends on how everybody plays. Some teams work better with different compositions than others. And that's really just based on the players and how well they can play different classes and specs. So, MDI is really fun. I actually like watching MDI. I don't like watching the Arena World Championships as much. That one's a little harder for me, but these are the 2 main WoW esports. Technically Race to World First is not an esport because it's not sponsored by Blizzard. So, these are the 2 that we have. So, maybe at some point we'll get, more WoW esports, but for now, this is what we're dealing with and able to enjoy. So check it out this weekend for the first group action on Twitch or YouTube. I don't know. MDI is fun. I think everyone should look at it at least once. And I think MDI is going to be really interesting next season when we have no more add-ons, no more combat add-ons. That'll be really interesting. I hope it'll be interesting. We'll see. So anyway, check out the MDI this weekend. This is what we got, kids. All right, the Season 3 Turbo Boost is now live. This is the second phase of the Turbo Boost. The first phase went live on October 7th. This one was live on the 21st. So the Turbo Boost is a way to increase your item level and increase your power going into the rest of the season. The last week or 2 weeks ago, what they did was they increased the upgrade levels for hero and myth track items from 6 to 8. And then they also gave you a way to increase the item level of your crafted pieces of gear as well. So if you have hero track crafted, or the whatever the hero track equivalent is, or the myth track equivalent, you can do that with the Turbo Boost. Now what they've done is they've removed the crest caps completely. So you can just go out and degen, earn as many crests as you want. Valor Stones are now Warbound, which this to me is essentially the soft ending of Valor Stones, because they're getting rid of Valor Stones at midnight. So having them be Warbound, they might as well just get rid of them and just say, who cares? But they're not doing that. So they're Warbound. So you can send them to your alts or whatever it is that you want to do with your Valor Stones. But just know, at the end of this season, Valor Stones will just go away and we will not have to deal with them anymore. It'll be really nice. I'm really looking forward to that, but this is what we have for now. So Valor Stones will be Warbound, or are now Warbound. Warbound until equipped drop rate increased to Mythic Plus. So basically, you're going to get more Warbound until equipped drops from, and I think those are champion level. It depends. So champion item level or champion upgrade track items from Mythic Plus. So that should go up. So you should get more of those. You can feed them to your alts or whatever you want to do. There you go. And then the Ethereal Void Splinters will be earnable in Mythic Plus, Manaforge Omega, Delves, and rated PvP. The Ethereal Void Splinters are the things that allow you to get catalyst charges. You can change normal gear into tier pieces. That'll be really nice for when we're trying to get the transmog items from the raid and whatnot. So I am looking forward to that, being able to fill out all my transmog spots. So there you go. So that's all live right now. That's in the game. There's a new quest for the puzzling cartel chips. So basically what's going to be is you can earn 9 total. The first quest that you get is going to give you 3. And then every week you're going to be able to get 1 more after that. Each item costs 3 chips, and you'll be able to purchase weapons, trinkets, and cantrip items. The quest will ask you to defeat 4 raid bosses or 4 Mythic Plus dungeons. And the 4 raid bosses have to be done on normal or above. You cannot do LFR this time. Last time you could do LFR, they've decided they don't want to do that. So, but this is a great way to get that one piece that you're like, oh man, I just can't get that to drop. Just go pick it up. Pick it up from the NPCs. The quest and the NPC that sells you the items are right outside the bank in Dornagal. So go check that out for your characters. The final piece of the Season 3 Turbo Boost is the Delves Boost. Now this one, I mean, I guess it's fine. Last time we got the belt that gave us all those extra powers, which was really cool. This time we don't have anything like that. We're just getting Delver's Journey progress increased. So if you haven't finished your Delver's Journey yet for this season, this will help you finish it a little bit faster. The crests that you get for completing a delve are going to go up. So you'll get a little bit more crests, which is nice because I think if you do an 8, you get like 2 crests, 2 ruined crests or something like that. So, yeah, it kind of forces you to do 11s because it's like, I did all that for 2 crests. No, it's 2 or 3 crests. I forget. But yeah, that's a really nice component of this. Tier 9 and above delves can drop champion 1 out of 8 warbound until equipped. So that's really cool as well. Again, if you're trying to get stuff for your alts for characters. So I think it's either the last phase of the Delver's Journey or the second to last phase, but you can purchase veteran track gear. So this will allow you to get some champion track gear for your alts to really give them a boost going into midnight. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. If you have good gear going into midnight, you'll level a little bit faster, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. And then the final thing is the Delver's Bounty has some increases for Valor Stones, Crests, and Companion Experience. So go to Bran. If you haven't leveled him to 100 yet, this is your last chance before he goes away and is replaced by the lovely Valera Sanguinar. So there you go. That's what's coming, or what is now here with the Season 3 Turbo Boost. So if you've been doing Legion Remix and you haven't even logged into War Within like me, you might want to jump on there and check it out. Everything is now live, so you can go at least get your Puzzling Cartel chip. Do the quest at least the one time so you can get your free purchase. That way, go get that trinket that you always wanted. Go get that ring that you always wanted, the weapon, whatever it is. Go pick that up. Just as a reminder, you can purchase Hero Track for just doing the quest, but if you want Myth Track items, you have to have done the boss if it's a raid item, you have to have killed the boss on Mythic Raid. They're sticking to their guns on that one, and that's fine. I feel like this should be a fun, crazy Season 3 ending of the expansion season, but that's not how they chose to do this. So there you go. All right. And finally, in Legion Remix, so Phase 2 is now live. This is going to be, this is Nighthold, Return to Karazhan, and the Suramar Insurrection storyline quests. So I did the Nighthold the other day. It's fun. I love the Nighthold. That's a great raid. I mean, the Gul'dan fight is a little annoying, but even that, it's fine. And then that cinematic at the end is so good. If you haven't done it yet, if you've never done the Nighthold, if you haven't gone back and done that raid or anything like that, do it one time and just watch the ending cinematic. It's so good. I love it so much. Just chef's kiss. And then Return to Karazhan. That is the original mega dungeon. I mean, I guess technically Upper Blackrock Spire was the original mega dungeon, but Return to Karazhan is the new modern original mega dungeon. That one's really fun. If you liked Karazhan back in the Burning Crusade, but you haven't done this one yet, do it because it's a completely different experience. The first 4 bosses are pretty much the same, but then after that it gets crazy. So check that out. And it's 8 bosses total, but it's split into 2 groups of 4 for Heroic and for Mythic Plus. But if you want to run it on Mythic 0, you can do all 8. It's actually really fun. All right. The fragmented mementos, the ones that give you additional infinite power, those are what they're doing is they're giving you more for doing world content. So world bosses theoretically give you 20 if you get credit for the quest. Your rares are going to give you 3 in heroic world mode and 1 in normal world mode. I guess it's up to 1 and up to 3. So technically, you could get 0 if you're doing it on normal, but if you're doing it on heroic, you should get 2 or 3. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But this one's really good for me, though, is the emissary quests will now give you 20 fragments for completing them. So you get a different emissary quest every day, and they get 3 days worth. So it remembers the same one for 3 days. So you should be, if you're just keeping up with them, you'll get a new one every day, and it'll give you 20 fragments. And the emissary quests are just like I think yesterday or 2 days ago was the Nightborn or Nighthold or whatever it is, the Nightfallen. I think it's Nightfallen. Anyway, so if you do 4 world quests to give reputation with that faction, you'll complete the emissary quest. And then when you go turn it in, you'll get your 20 fragments. So yeah, it's a really good way to encourage people to do more in the outside world. Because I'll tell you right now, Legion, to me, it brought back the outside world. We had Warlords of Draenor where we were sitting in our garrison for forever. And nobody went and did anything. I'm like, after you leveled up, that was it. The Tanan Jungle dailies, some people did. I did it a few times, but for the most part, it was like, that's boring. So yeah, this is a really good way to get people back out in the open world and doing stuff and interacting with other players. So yeah, good job, Liz. And I do like the heroic world tier. I just wish it gave a little bit better rewards for the amount of punishment it doles out by making you beat on these mobs for an hour and a half. So other changes, the Keystone dungeons are going to increase the damage, health, and decrease damage taken for healers and for DPS. So DPS, 10% damage increase, 100% health increase, 33% damage taken decreased. So you're going to take a little bit less, you'll do a little bit more, you got a bunch more health. That should really help getting DPS and healers into Mythic Plus. For healers, they're also going to get 10% additional healing and absorbs. So that's really cool for them. And then for tanks, they will get 10% healing received increase. They don't get any other bonuses because they're already overpowered. But yeah, that's what's going on in phase 2 of Legion Remix. Phase 3 will be here on November 4th. That'll be the Broken Shore, the Tomb of Sargeras raid. I forget, it's not the Seat of the... Oh man, what is the dungeon? Anyway, it's going to be November 4th. We'll talk about that later. And that's it. Well, one thing I wanted to say before I move on to what's going on this week in World of Warcraft is I really appreciate Legion Remix because it's giving me a reminder of what's so great about Legion. Every time I've done Legion in the past 9 years has been run through as fast as you can, one-shot mobs, get credit for everything, go, 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 do that achievement, do this achievement, without thinking. You're just tearing through it as fast as you can. And yes, people are doing that if they were overpowered already, and that's fine. But I really like how it forces us to actually do the content correctly. And I love Legion so much. It was such a good expansion. And the best thing about this is it take out all the bad parts. We don't have to grind artifact power. We're getting infinite power handed to us, hand over fist. Oh, here's more infinite power, man. It's great. I love it. I was talking about Legion in comparison to Warlords of Draenor and how it was such a refreshing breath of fresh air. And I started talking about and comparing it to food because I was saying how Warlords wasn't a bad expansion. But it was weird coming after Mists of Pandaria where there was a lot of content and it was really good, going into Warlords where it was and then after that Legion. And so yeah, Warlords just gets forgotten because the content was good, not great, and there just wasn't a lot of it. And so I likened Mists of Pandaria to a really good cheeseburger and fries with an ice cold beer. That's a good meal. I will eat that and be happy. That was Mists of Pandaria. Warlords of Draenor was just the burger. Still a really good burger. No fries, no beer, just the burger. And then Legion was like a prime rib, with loaded mashed potatoes and asparagus with balsamic vinaigrettes and a glass of red wine. And, that was Legion. So yes, I'm not saying that Warlords was bad. It was just a cheeseburger isn't bad, right? If it's a good cheeseburger, it's a good cheeseburger. But by itself, it felt kind of weird. And I think that's how people are remembering it. Nobody is looking at the content in Warlords and going, that was bad. No, they're looking at the lack of content and going, that was disappointing. So it is unfortunate because I do really like Warlords for what it was. It just wasn't very much. So yeah, Legion is so good and it checks so many boxes. The raids were good. The dungeons were good. The world quests, the world activities, the leveling, the zones, the theming, the characters, the voice acting, the cinematics, the music, all of it was so good. Yes, there were a few parts that were bad. The artifact power grind was bad. The Legion legendaries were bad, at least in the beginning, before they figured out how to fix it. Trying to level up an alt was bad. Those things didn't work very well. And Blizzard didn't really learn from those mistakes until about the end of Shadowlands, when they realized, oh, we need to stop locking people into things and letting them do whatever they want, because this is a video game and we're here for fun. So I'm really enjoying Legion Remix. And I hope, I've seen so many posts on Reddit, Twitter, wherever you can think of, people asking for Shadowlands Remix. And I saw one where people were going back and forth arguing Shadowlands versus BFA. I think most people seem to want Shadowlands Remix because, let's think about it for a second here. It's going to be in another year or so when we're at the end of Midnight, getting ready to go into the Last Titan. So a year and a half, whatever. In that time, we will have a little bit more separation from Shadowlands. So the people who are like, no way, I will never do Shadowlands. You know what? At that point, we'll start looking at it fondly. And we'll start looking at all the transmog, all the mounts, all the cool toys and going, you know what? I could do that. I could really enjoy Shadowlands. And think about just doing Torghast on Remix. How fun that would be. Ooh, baby. So yeah, I talked about this a few episodes ago when I had Nathia on and we were talking about Legion Remix. I did bring it up, and I like to think that I'm the first one that had that idea. I don't think that I was, but I like to think that, at least out loud. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people calling for Shadowlands Remix. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next year and a half, but just know that if it does happen, I called it first. All right, let's talk about what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. The bonus event this week is the Battleground bonus event. You're going to get the buff Sign of Battle, which is honor gained from Battleground objectives and wins increased by 50%. You can pick up the quest A Call to Battle from Archivist for Thrun and Dornogal to win 4 Battleground matches, and you'll be rewarded with 175 conquest and 5 marks of honor. So go check that one out. This is probably my least favorite bonus event. Actually, no, the Arena Skirmish event is my least favorite. This is my second least favorite. No, Pet Battles. All right, this is my third least favorite after Arena Skirmish and Pet Battles. So yeah, this one, I mean, I guess it's fine. If you want to go do some Battlegrounds, go for it. You know, rated Battlegrounds are fun. Regular Battlegrounds are not fun unless it's Comp Stomp. So the PvP brawl for the week is Deepwind Dunk. Can you even dunk? If you want to win this brawl, you're going to need to work on your skills because Dunk Ball has come to Pandaria. You'll race to claim balls from the map's center or northern or southern mines, take them to your enemy's base, and then go for a magnificent long-range shot or go all in for the dunk. When you zone in, you'll get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest Honor and Marks of Honor. I've actually never done this one. I've done Deepwind Gorge, and I hate that one, so I don't know. I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll jump in there for a few minutes and see how it is. Maybe not. I don't know. And then finally, we still have Hallow's End going. Hallow's End celebrates the break of the Forsaken from the Scourge. Fun and mischief reign as the Innkeepers of Azeroth give treats and tricks to whomever asks. This is going to run through November 1st, so if you really want to try and get your Headless Horseman's mount, go for it. Yeah, somebody, I'll post it on the Discord, I think it was Raven, that they got their Headless Horseman's mount on the first try, and it's like, congrats, dude, that's great. You know, I've said before, I have it on one account, but not the other. So I at least have it. The OG one, not the new one, not anything. It's just the original Headless Horseman's mount, and it's fine. I'm happy that I got it. I don't want to stress about things like this. The holiday mounts, this one and the Love Rocket. No, I don't grind those because to me, it's not worth it. So anyway, you got another week or so before the end. So check out Hallow's End if you are so inclined. And I do believe it's available in every version of WoW at this point. So Anniversary, Miss Pandaria, even in Remix, you can see the pumpkins. I don't know if you can actually do anything with them, but the pumpkins are there. So, all right, that's what's going on there. Let's get to the main topic of the week because this one is a little dense and there's a lot of information coming and I want to go over it all because to me, this is a very important topic that I feel like needs to be addressed. And I'm not the first one to address it, but anyway, we'll get into it now.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
We're going to talk about WoW Classic. And we had an episode a few weeks ago where I kind of went over the state of Classic and where things are. But over the last few weeks, things have gotten a little weird. And I wanted to kind of address it in a general way without trying to draw too many conclusions. But it is something that I feel very strongly about because I love WoW Classic. Original vanilla WoW is my favorite version of the game. Up to AQ. After that, I hate it. But it's so much fun. That initial, once you get to Blackwing Lair and Zolgrub, to me, that's like the true end game of WoW Classic. It's so good. That's like a perfect game for me. So I have a lot of fondness for Classic, even though I don't generally play it. I'm pretty much stuck with retail at this point because not stuck with, but I am sticking with retail, or whatever the most current expansion is, just because I've got all my characters, I've got all my setup, and anyway. So classic to me is special, and I do care a lot about it. And I'll tell you right now, there's a very interesting dynamic going on with classic content creators. You have a few podcasts out there, but most of them don't really even cover classic WoW. I think Ebonheart just started a new one, but for the most part, there's nobody talking about classic WoW in the podcast sphere. There are plenty of YouTubers who get on and rant and talk about hardcore, talk about whatever, but there's just not a lot of WoW classic podcasts. And I do feel very strongly about it, and I enjoy the game. And so I want to make sure that I am covering classic WoW, even if it's not the primary focus of this podcast. So, all right, let's start with where we are currently. What's the current state of things? And then we can go from there. So, there are two main versions of classic, plus we have the era and the hardcore realms. Season of Discovery, I'm not going to talk about anymore, because even though it's technically still open, it is no longer an active. Season of Discovery has fewer people rating than Classic Era does. So to give you an idea, Season of Discovery is essentially dead. So where we are currently, Mists of Pandaria Classic is in phase 2. That's the landfall patch. That's what gave us scenarios, or 4 more scenarios, Brawlers Guild, Legendary Cloak. I think that's about it. That's the main focus. Oh, and then the daily quests in Krasarang. So whether you're Alliance or Horde, whichever one you are, you can go pick up your daily quest and start earning progress towards that. So it's not a bad patch, not a bad phase. It is still part of season 1. So your 3 raids are still intact: Mogushan Vaults, Heart of Fear, and Terrace of Endless Springs. None of that has changed. So the next thing for Mists of Pandaria would be Throne of Thunder, but we don't know when that's going to come out. Blizzard hasn't said anything about it. It's been kind of quiet. So we don't have any word on a PTR. We don't have any word on really anything with regards to Mists of Pandaria Classic. So we're holding on there. We do know that the realm consolidation completed a few months ago, or it was in September, beginning of September. So that's all done. Everybody's on one mega realm, or at least one connected realm. And yeah, that's it. That's where we are on Classic. For Progression Classic. For Anniversary Classic, it has progressed to phase 6, so that's the Naxxramas phase. So we had the Scourge Invasion, and now we've got Nax. We've got the PvP objectives in Eastern Plaguelands and Silithus. And that's pretty much it. Anniversary Classic is done as far as new content goes. The next thing that comes out for Anniversary will be the Burning Crusade pre-patch. And we don't know when that's going to be. Blizzard has not said anything about a beta test for Burning Crusade or a date for pre-patch. We have no idea when that's going to come. So that's where we are on the 2 main versions of Classic that are active right now. Like I said, Hardcore, Era, Hardcore Anniversary, and SOD all technically still exist, but there's really nothing to talk about there because they're not moving in any directions. They're all pretty much stagnant. They are what they are. And I don't even know what's going to happen with Hardcore Anniversary when the Burning Crusade comes out. Is it going to stay with vanilla? Well, how is that going to work? I don't know. So anyway, that's where we are on that. The other thing that kind of popped off last month was the news about the Titanforge servers in China that Blizzard was going to be working on. So if you remember, China was there was no WoW in China during Season of Discovery because Blizzard and NetEase had a falling out because of Bobby Kotick, apparently. At least that's what I heard. So there was no WoW in China. People in China could play WoW if they connected through a VPN. They could get to Taiwan or Korea or whatever, but there was no actual WoW being supported in China. Now there is. It's back. They've come to an agreement. Microsoft forced NetEase and Blizzard to come to the table and sign an agreement, and so that they're back. But because they missed Season of Discovery, Blizzard wanted to give the Chinese audience something, and so they've created these Titanforge servers, which is going to go from 1 to 80. And it's going to include all 3 of the original WoW trilogy expansion, Vanilla World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King. And the raids will release in a random order and be scaled to whatever the current item or the max level is. So you might get Molten Core, Karazhan, and Ulduar or something. I don't even know how they're going to do it. obviously I don't have a lot of insight into it because most of the communication there is in Chinese, which I don't even know what Chinese language it's in. I just know that it's in a language that I don't speak because I only speak 1.5 languages or 1.3 language. So I know a little bit of Spanish, un poquito. That's it. So that's what's going on there. And then Blizzard put out a communication to China, to that audience, basically saying, hey, this is going to be our focus for the next year. And when people in the West saw that, they all panicked. They went, wait a minute, Blizzard's not doing anything for Classic for the next year? And so we got a communication from the WoW Classic devs. I think there was a forum post, and then they sent out a tweet basically saying, don't worry, relax. That was for the Chinese audience. We're still going to be focusing on World of Warcraft here in the West. Please reference this post for more information. And that post that they referenced was the post back in May when they told us that they were closing Season of Discovery, or they were stopping development on Season of Discovery. And the key part of that post that I find very interesting, and I'm just going to read it because I don't want to mess it up by trying to reword what they've already said. So, Season of Discovery was a success beyond our wildest imagination back in 2023. We learned so much, we grew as a team, both literally and figuratively, and we've been invigorated for the future like never before. That future for Season of Discovery is somewhat bittersweet, as we've made the decision to slow down on Season of Discovery and begin work on our next major project in the original WoW design space. We have big plans and big ambitions for this type of found photographs content set in the original world of Azeroth. But in order to realize these ambitions, we need to make sure that we are spending our time where it will make the most impact on the long-term future of WoW Classic. We want to set ourselves up for success by taking the time we need to get in the proverbial kitchen and cook, iterate on, and shape our ideas and lessons learned from Season of Discovery into something truly exciting. Season of Discovery was always meant to be an ephemeral, seasonal experience, and while it became so much more for a time, we're extremely excited about the things we're working on for the future. That's what they told us to remember that they already said when we were worried about the future of Classic. So, there's nothing in here that says, hey, here's what's going on with Miss Pandaria Classic. Hey, here's what's going on with Anniversary Classic. The things that we don't know. Is Mr. Pandaria going to progress to Warlords of Draenor? We don't know. They haven't said. The only thing that we know is they put out a survey asking people what they wanted to do with their Mr. Pandaria Classic characters, and one of the options was to progress to Warlords of Draenor if that becomes available. That's it. That's all we know. Anniversary Classic, we know we're going to the Burning Crusade. We know that already. And that'll be probably about a year of TBC. We don't know if we're going to continue on to Wrath of the Lich King. We have no idea. It's kind of a mystery to us right now. And I think a lot of people who are doing the whole TBC waiting room thing in Anniversary Classic right now, I'm sure there would be a lot more people going Wrath waiting room if we knew that that was going to be a thing, but we don't know. The Burning Crusade will probably come out sometime in January, February next year. But again, we have no information about this. For all we know, we could get to Burning Crusade and that would be the end of it. So, things are in a little bit of limbo right now because of the current state of things. But the biggest thing that's drawing a lot of attention is that Blizzard is not saying anything at all about Classic. The last communication from the WoW Classic devs was that September 25th post about the WoW China servers and how they are still going to be working on things for the West. We just don't know when that's going to be. We have no communication. We have no roadmap. And yes, we'll probably get a Classic roadmap around the end of the year. But the problem right now is that people are frustrated because I've seen so many posts. Is it worth it to start on MoP Classic right now? If it's going to end. If my character is going to go away. If my character is going to transfer to Classic era. If my character is going to transfer to retail. Is it worth it? In the Progression Classic servers, players have been playing on the same, or might have been playing those same characters for 6 years. 6 years. That's not nothing. That's a good chunk of time. That's pre-pandemic. That's how old that is. So, yeah, that's a long time. And so people want to know what's going to happen. And for me personally, I don't play on Mists of Pandaria because, first of all, I've already done Mists of Pandaria, and I didn't love it enough to do it again for real. I did it in Remix, and that was fine. But for me, I don't know if they're going to go to Warlords and then follow that up with Legion. I can safely say, though, if they do decide to go Warlords Classic, it's pretty much a given that we're going to get Legion. But at this point, we don't even know that we're going to get Warlords Classic. So we don't know what's going to happen with those servers. So for a lot of people, myself included, it's not worth it to put time, effort, and energy into that when you could put that energy somewhere else. Either a different version of WoW or something else entirely. Maybe you want to go play Fellowship. Maybe you want to go play Battlefield 6. I don't know. You go play whatever you want to play, but if you are putting your time and energy into Mists of Pandaria Classic, I think a lot of people just want to know that that's not going to be wasted. So again, that's where we are with things. Now, on October 6th, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned this on the show, there was an encrypted build that was found being uploaded to one of the vendor servers. Now, I don't know if you know this, there's a Twitter account. Every time Blizzard uploads a new build to one of their servers, any of their servers, it tweets about it. Okay, it's like the one that was tracking Elon Musk's airplane, right? It tweets about it. Automatically, it's a bot, and it just sends out, here's the build number, here's the server, blah, blah, blah. This was an encrypted build uploaded to the vendor server, so we had no idea what was on it. This is 1.15.8. So it's a classic era build. People were speculating that it might be Season of Discovery related. People were speculating it might be Anniversary related. Maybe they were changing something about the era servers. We had no idea. Last week, the people were able to data mine that build. And what they found was really interesting. There's a lot of things on there that you can go in and point out, oh, there's this thing about the Burning Crusade and this thing about whatever. But the biggest thing that they found that I'm really kind of shocked by is a WoW token. There are references to being able to purchase and sell WoW tokens on the classic era build. Now, this might be Anniversary and this might be for the Burning Crusade. I could see them putting these assets into place, and then when they move this server over to the Burning Crusade, the WoW token becomes available. I could see that happening. And I wouldn't love that, but I get it. Blizzard is trying to, one, they're trying to make money, and two, they're trying to clamp down on bots. They know people are going to want to have a bunch of money for their flying mounts, and so where are they going to get that money? Gold sellers. So rather than do that, they're just going to put out the WoW token and let people just buy your gold in-game, and there you go. So that was weird. And that all happened. And so during this time, there have been, and I went through and I just picked out a couple, but there have been a ton of YouTube videos from content creators, for primarily WoW Classic content creators, who have been asking questions about this particular stretch of time where we've had no communication from Blizzard. We don't know what's going on. People are concerned about Classic Plus. People are concerned about Mists of Pandaria. People want to know what's going on. It just feels weird. Classic feels like it's been abandoned. So we had, this is back in September, Ebonheart put out a video, The Hard Truth about Classic Plus. Guzu put out a video, What is really happening with Classic Plus? Okay, it's like they copied each other's homework or something. On September 29th, Jerdy put out a video, The Classic WoW community is ruining Classic Plus. It's time to stop. That was actually a really good video. I would recommend that one. October 9th, WoW Classic is as strange as this video at the moment. Just my opinion, from Scotty J. Scotty J, you're a great YouTuber, but you got to work on those titles. That's a mouth word salad. No, just please stop. Talk to Willie about your titles. Willie put out a video called The Silence on Classic Plus is Deafening. Great title, Willie. Way to go. That's how you do it, Scotty J. Look at Willie. And then finally, Tello put out a video last week called Blizzard Doesn't Care About Classic Anymore. Now, some of these people are really big into private servers and the private server scene, as well as the classic WoW scene. So there's a little bit of overlap there, but I'd say for the most part, the people in this list that I just read, and there have been others in there, Zaryu has put out a bunch of videos and different people, but there is a lot of weirdness going around with Classic right now, and the content creators are noticing. And I noticed this last week, and I felt like, maybe this is time to do another podcast episode about this. This is when I wish I was just a traditional YouTuber, that I could just put out these YouTube videos 7-8 minutes long and get my thoughts out there and then move on with my life. But no, I've got to sit here for an hour and talk. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a little weird, and people are frustrated, concerned, worried, whatever you want to say, angry with Blizzard. The final piece of this comes from the good folks at Turtle WoW. Now, you remember I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Turtle WoW is a private server that offers a Classic Plus experience. So once you get to level 60, you can continue on and do other things. Actually, during the leveling process, they have zones that are inserted into the game. So there are some weird leveling spots in Classic that I'm sure if you've done Classic WoW, some spots are harder to get through than others, and Turtle WoW has done a great job at filling those spots with content. They've added 2 new races, High Elves for the Alliance, Goblins for the Horde. They've added a lot of content to Classic WoW and done, by all accounts, a really good job. Now, I haven't gotten on there and looked at all this stuff because I don't really want to play Turtle WoW for a few reasons, but regardless, they've put out this product and it's been out there for quite a while. Now, if you recall, I mentioned that Blizzard sued Turtle WoW, and they didn't just put a cease and desist order like they have with other servers. I think Everlook, Blizzard served them with a cease and desist, so Everlook closed their doors. They said, okay, you know what? This is not worth it. We're going to close down. We don't want to get sued. They sent a cease and desist to Project Epoch, which Project Epoch, the original developer, said, I'm out. I'm not going to do this anymore. So that person left. The control of Project Epoch went to Ascension, which is another private server, and they're going to continue running it. But regardless, there's a lot of shakeup in the private server community because Blizzard is going after these servers because they're going to be doing Classic Plus. And so that's kind of what's going on here. But Turtle WoW, they didn't get served a cease and desist. No, they got full on sued. And in that lawsuit, Blizzard alleges RICO violations. Now, RICO, which is basically it's the Organized Crime Act. It's the racketeering and something, I forget what it stands for. But it's essentially used to target organized crime. And so Blizzard is essentially alleging that Turtle WoW and the people who run it are an organized crime ring that are basically scamming players out of money. Now, they're not scamming players. They have a private shop where you can buy cosmetics and things, not pay to win. You're not buying boosts or anything like that. You're basically just buying cool looking gear that you can have on your character. But Blizzard is alleging that they've made millions of dollars off of this. Now, I'm not an advocate for private servers. I have played on private servers before. Yes, I have. I played on Nostalrius back in 2015 or whenever it was. And I forgot about this, but I played on another server called Symmetry WoW. This was in 2017, which was a classic PvE server. Back in the day of private servers, every single private server was PvP only. So you had to be on a PvP server, and I hated that. So, and that's pretty much why I quit Nostalrius, was because it was PvP only. And so when I played on Symmetry WoW for a while, it was PvE and it was fun. I had a good time. It was a terrible server. I mean, the coding on it was bad. The server kept crashing all the time. It was an awful experience, but I was able to play Classic, which is something I have been wanting to do because I love original vanilla WoW. And we didn't have Classic at the time. This was 2017. So this is before Blizzard had even announced that they were going to be doing Classic servers. So anyway, all that being said, Classic server or private server system or realm or whatever you want to call it, it's a little weird. And Turtle WoW right now is the big dog that Blizzard is going after hard. So a couple weeks ago, Blizzard filed an ex parte request so that they could do discovery on the members of Turtle WoW. So there was one person in the Turtle WoW lawsuit who actually lives in the United States. And so that's within the jurisdiction of the U.S. courts that Blizzard filed this lawsuit in. So they were able to serve this person. They were able to attempt to serve them with the lawsuit. The person denied, or they said, you don't need to serve me. I'll come and we'll talk. And so they came in with their lawyer, and their lawyer basically said, look, you got nothing. Right? It's like a movie, right? You got nothing on my client. Hey, he's innocent. They tried saying you've got the wrong person. This person's not affiliated with Turtle WoW. And they also said that Blizzard's ex parte request is invalid because Turtle WoW has existed for years. And so if Blizzard felt like this was, let me take a step back. First of all, I'm not a lawyer, and so I don't really understand all this stuff. But an ex parte request is essentially, if you want to do discovery, and that's that both sides share information and say, here's all of our documents, here's all of our information. And the other side says, okay, well, here's ours. And then you can go and ask, like, for example, you could say, hey, Discord, we're going to subpoena you and say, I want all the records for this account and everyone they've ever talked to and things like that. An ex parte request is essentially where you say, I don't want to communicate with the other side. I just want to go get this stuff because it's urgent. Because I feel like if we don't get this right now, it's going to be deleted and we'll never get it back. So that's why Blizzard filed that request. It is now in the hands of a magistrate judge who is going to decide and then send it back up to the trial judge and say, yes, they can do that, or no, they cannot. So that's where things are with the Turtle WoW lawsuit. It's waiting on a judge to determine whether or not Blizzard can go and subpoena the records for Discord for this guy, Discord payment records, any sort of communication, because they want to find the other people involved in Turtle WoW. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Last Friday, Turtle WoW posted an open letter to Blizzard. And in this open letter, and I'm not going to read it because, first of all, it's poorly written. And second of all, it's I'm just going to tell you about what's going on before I give judgment. Before I give too much judgment. In the letter, they talk about how they are providing something to the community. They've been giving a service to the community for 7 years or whatever it is. And people love it. And they're very happy with Turtle WoW. And they want to continue doing it. And as such, they are asking Blizzard Entertainment to provide them with a legal framework to run a official private server. So essentially what they're asking for is they want to be able to run Turtle WoW in Blizzard's name and run it themselves, which they gave a bunch of precedents. Here's all these other companies that have done this sort of thing. City of Heroes, Minecraft, a bunch of other games. Blizzard is never going to go for this, okay? And there are a couple reasons why. But the one that I think a lot of people didn't even mention, if you're not familiar with Dota is a Warcraft 3 map that was created that modded the game and created a new game mode in Warcraft 3 called Defense of the Ancients. And that essentially created the MOBA game mode in the Warcraft 3 engine. And so it became really popular. And this person actually went to Blizzard at one point and said, hey, do you want me to come work for you and we can develop this game together? And Blizzard said, hey, piss off. So Riot Games saw that what was going on and they said, that looks like a winner. And so they developed their own version of that game using their own game engine, and they developed League of Legends. And if you're familiar with League of Legends, it's probably the most popular or one of the most popular esports games out there, like of anything. So Blizzard saw this going on and realized their mistake. And so they very quickly went, hey, you know what? Maybe we should make our own version of this game that's not in the Warcraft 3 engine. That's its own standalone thing. And so they decided they were going to call the game Blizzard Dota after the original map, Defense of the Ancients, Blizzard Dota. Okay. But before they could move on that, Valve, the developer of the game Half-Life, if you're familiar with Half-Life, Valve swooped in, hooked up with that developer or the person who had developed the original map, and they created their own version of the game, and they called it Dota 2. So they just added a 2 on the end of it. Blizzard saw this and said, hey, you can't steal that. That name was made on our game, and so we own it. And Valve said, no, you don't. Fuck off. So Blizzard sued Valve for the rights to use the name Dota in their game. And Valve won. And the judge basically told Blizzard, you did not make this person sign an agreement saying that all rights and properties are yours. He developed this. He came up with the name himself. He can do whatever he wants with it. So Blizzard lost. And I think at that point, Blizzard probably realized if anybody ever does anything in one of our games again, we need to own it. And so back to Turtle WoW. If Blizzard is to allow Turtle WoW to run Turtle WoW in Blizzard's name, the only way that would ever go for that is if Blizzard owns everything associated with Turtle WoW. And so all of the people who developed it would essentially become contractors working on their own game for Blizzard. And that's not what they want to do. And so the whole thing is stupid from so many levels. Okay? It's asinine. And it's a complete fraud because that's not their intention at all. They don't want to create a legal private server. They're trying to win in the court of public opinion. They're trying to show the judge and the people, hey, look, we're trying hard, man. Look, we're trying to make things work with big, mean Blizzard, but multi-billion-dollar company is coming after us and they're using all their resources to make our lives miserable. They're harassing us, man. The man's trying to get us down. I don't know if that's how they talk. That's kind of how I picture it in my head. They probably have a Russian accent because I think most of them are from Russia. But anyway, the point is, this is not going to happen in any way, shape, or form. Blizzard will never go for this. In fact, in the original lawsuit, one of the things that Blizzard asked for was they asked for all development for Turtle WoW to be turned over to Blizzard because it was made with their intellectual property. That's part of the lawsuit, is they're basically saying, you know what, you need to stop and we're going to penalize you and we're going to steal your server. We're going to steal all your code. And they're not stealing it. They're going to take it because they're going to go, hey, this is actually ours. Thank you for developing it for us using our game, but it's actually ours. That's their case that they're alleging. Now, are they going to win that? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know if they're going to be able to sue most of these people, actually sue them. Like they could call them out and name them, but do you have an address for this person? Probably not. Do you even know for sure that they exist? Maybe not. You know, as far as Blizzard is concerned, some of these people on the Turtle WoW website or Discord could be the same person using multiple aliases. They don't know. Their information that they put in the lawsuit was like a big guess. So, all that being said, this is the current state of WoW Classic, people. Blizzard is saying nothing about their own versions of the game, and the private server version of Classic Plus that has been pretty popular for a lot of people is trying to stay in the fight the best they can. Now, they're gonna lose in some capacity. There's no way. They actually admitted that the server itself is not legal by asking Blizzard to make it legal. So they've shot themselves in the foot big time on this. Okay. And there's a lot more nuance to this case that we could get into, but I'm not going to, because really it's not about Turtle WoW. It's not about videos being posted by Willie or Ebonheart or Scotty J with bad titles. It's about these people who enjoy World of Warcraft Classic. Whether it's vanilla, Wrath of the Lich King, Mists of Pandaria, if you can even still call it classic. I mean, technically it is still classic. I found out today, actually, on a work call, that one of my coworkers plays Mists of Pandaria Classic. I was like, no way. That's crazy. So yeah, that's where we are. And it's a little weird, but we just have to take it for what it is. I hope that Blizzard is about to tell us something big. We're almost at the end of October here. We should be getting a roadmap in the next 2 months. And so I'm hoping that we get some announcements here really soon that say, hey, here's what's going on with Classic. Because if we don't, it's going to be really bad. And then I go back to Willie's video. The silence on Classic Plus is deafening. And I would definitely watch that video. I'll put that video in the show notes. You should watch it. It's really good. Willie is, whether or not every single one of his videos are good, and they're not all good, but not all my podcast episodes are good. that one is really good. And I really like Willie as a content creator. So I don't know him, but I think he's a great YouTuber. So I would definitely check out that video. Anyway, that's where we are. And it is a little weird that things are in this state. I wish that we had more to go on. And I think that Blizzard still has not realized that it's 2025 and you can't go a month and a half with nothing. At least put out a tweet every couple of weeks saying, hey, we're still working on Classic. Holly Longdale just put out a tweet talking about all the great things going on in WoW right now and didn't mention Classic at all. So, yeah. Is it too late to start on Miss Pandaria Classic? Maybe. It might be too late. Is it too late to start an anniversary? Well, if you want to play Burning Crusade, no. But if you're hoping to play Wrath of the Lich King, maybe not. We're still months away from... I'm sorry. We're still almost a year away from BlizzCon 2026. So even if they were going to announce something for Classic, they wouldn't be able to wait until BlizzCon. That's 11 months from now. There's no way they could wait that long. We have to know sooner than that. We're going to need to know going into BlizzCon what's happening with Miss Pandaria. Are we going to Warlords? Are the characters getting transferred to retail? Are the characters getting transferred to Classic? Are the characters going to stay on MoP era? I say just make an era server for every version of the game through MoP. One for Vanilla, one for Burning Crusade, one for Wrath, one for Cata, one for MoP. And let people choose where they want to go. And you can even jump back and forth from different ones. Make them all remix style. And you can just transfer over. All right, I'm going to do MoP this week. Oh, I got to switch over to Cata because I got to do Firelands tomorrow. Oh, and then we're going to do Ulduar, so I got to jump over to Wrath. Why not? Give people the option to just kind of live in whatever space they want to live. Because really, that's what it's about. You have a character that you play and you love and you're having so much fun. And then you move on to the next version of WoW and half your guild quits. And you can no longer field a raid team and you're struggling to get people to do stuff. And you want to log on and do Celestial Dungeons, but you can't. It's just a weird space right now. So anyway, I don't have any solutions and I don't have a good conclusion to this topic. I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed, and it's something that Blizzard needs to address. They cannot leave Classic just flapping in the wind. I know that there's a lot going on with modern WoW right now. I get it. We've got Remix, we've got Midnight Alpha, we've got player housing about to drop on us in a couple months. There's a lot going on in modern World of Warcraft. I get it. But Classic still exists, and a lot of people play Classic. A lot of people love Classic, and will never play retail. Although, a lot of the content creators that I watched videos for the last couple of weeks have all made sort of the same point, which is, I don't know, Midnight's starting to look pretty good. And if Blizzard doesn't give us a good Classic Plus, maybe I'll just go play Midnight instead. So maybe that's Blizzard's master plan. Maybe they're trying to trick everyone into playing Midnight by ruining Classic. I don't know. The whole thing is just odd. And I just wish that we had some communication from Blizzard. So I guess that's it. So, tell me what you think. Log on to the Discord and post a comment about it. You can get to the Discord by going to AzerothUnitedPod.com. Jump on there and tell me what you think about Classic, where it should go, where you think it's going to go, where you want it to go. Join in the conversation because honestly, I think there needs to be a lot more of this. And I want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So I want to talk about what's going on in a positive way, not complain and jump and let's everyone go play a private server because Classic sucks. I don't want to do that. I'll leave that to other podcasters to do. All right, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. I've really enjoyed being able to just jump into some of these topics and give a deeper dive. But this one hits really close to home because, like I said, Classic's my favorite. So, right. If you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or if you have a particular topic that you'd like to hear discussed, you can email us at AzerothUnitedPod@gmail.com. You can check out our website at AzerothUnitedPod.com. And you can go to our Discord server, our Patreon, and all the other links are going to be available on our website. If you are enjoying the show and you'd like to help us out a little bit, you can consider giving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That really helps out the distribution. And like I said at the beginning of the show, if you leave a review or a comment, I will read it on the air. So looking forward to that. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you could help us out by giving us a like and a subscribe. And if you like, you can also leave a comment. Tell me what you think about Classic Plus, about the way Blizzard is treating Classic. Even if you want to talk about private servers, that's fine. I don't really love talking about private servers a whole bunch, but I'm happy to do it on the occasion. So go ahead and leave a comment on YouTube. That'll also really help. If you want to help us out in a different way, you could consider joining our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Azeroth United. You can jump on there. We have 3 different tiers of patrons. We have the free tier of Patreon, then we have 2 different paid tiers. Our top tier is our friend of the show patrons, and I'd like to thank them right now. That's Judge Omni, Stuglife, Thelial, Greybeard, and Raven. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. You guys are the best. And I think that's it. So thank you again for listening. Remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. And you know what? Maybe they did play a Classic Plus private server and you only ever played retail and you guys don't have a lot in common. That's okay. You can still be friends because we're all enjoying the great world of Warcraft and living our dreams in Azeroth. So be good to each other, smile, and just be friends because it doesn't take much to smile. All right. Take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.